Okay, so what do you really need to do the plumbing? So I have here all the tools that I used, and if this is for a mobile application like a tiny home on wheels like this would be all you need. If you're doing a house and you're having a septic or a sewer or some other kind of application for your waste, might be a little bit different, but let's go through it. So as I mentioned, I always keep one of each hot and cold PEX half-inch pipe with me on the ambulance at all times, just in case I want to quote-unquote help somebody else out on the road. And these are the things that I have. So I have a little bit of bleach. Every once in a while I'll put a couple drops in the water over there just to make sure it's purified. Again, I use it very sparingly, but I don't want anything growing in there, any bacteria or anything. As it relates to the sink, and I'll start from the sink and I'll work my way back. So at the bottom of the sink we have this plumber's putty, and we use that around the drain, and that actually gets kind of molded in there, so we use that. The glue, the regular PVC cement. Now, I did not use the purple stuff. Generally the purple stuff in the plumbing world is to clean for the drain, and this is specifically for the drain. So I only had to go down about 3 feet. So I actually didn't use any of the purple cleaner, and I made sure the stuff was clean. But normally you would use that. And again, I didn't have that many instances where I would have needed it, as you saw in the previous video. But this is, again, for the white PVC cement, not for the PEX. And then what else do I have here? I have different kinds of fittings. So before I jump off that, I also use some Teflon tape. Now this is for any time you have a thread. So if you have, like, for the sink, you have the hot and cold coming down through the shaft of that, and then that gets threaded onto some fittings, you would use this. So anytime you have threads, you're going to use this Teflon tape, and they sell it everywhere. What else do we got? We got a couple things. So there's, again, a couple different kinds of PEX fittings, okay? We have these, which I think are the latest on the scene. I'm not exactly a plumber, so I don't know historically the value, but this is what they call a shark bite fitting. And essentially you just push it in there and then you can't get it out. And, well, there's a tool here, which I'll show you in a minute how to get it out. And then the other kind of fitting is this PEX fitting. And it basically slides over the pipe, like so. This is based upon you've already cut your piece, you've measured, you've cut, and you got it square with your cutting tool, right? So you've cut whatever length you want, you've measured. And again, I'm going to show you one here that I kept. Now, sometimes you might cut, you might make a mistake, or when I first did my layout, I realized I want to make a few little adjustments, and that's okay. So what I did is I took a screwdriver right here, and you can kind of unpry it. So this thing works on compression. If you notice this fitting, there's a little comparison for a second before I jump into that. If you notice here, I have a new fitting and a used fitting. So the new one has like a bigger top, like a tabletop, where this one was crimped. So what this tool does is you put it in, you press the button once, it crunches down on that thing and snugs around the pipe and around these kind of fittings. And again, if you have an instance where you need to remove it, don't worry about it. You're gonna take a screwdriver, you're gonna pop it off this first little like jump here, and then you'll take a needle nose plier and you'll just basically pry it and remove it. Really straightforward. Okay, so with that said, how do we do this, Keith? You know, I'm a little bit confused, or I don't know, I'm not sure. And when, again, I said a little earlier in one of the videos is that this PEX pipe is really, I would just say easy to use like Legos, and it's really flexible. Like, you can kind of bend this stuff and it'll keep in its shape. And for the sake of this discussion, like, you can buy, you know, pieces like this at the big box retailers in 5 foot, 10 foot. I bought 20 footers because I had to go, again, I wanted to go the longest I could from the hot water heater up around, like I mentioned in the previous video, and down and over without having any fittings, or as minimal amount of fittings as I could. And again, at the big box retailers, they have these 90-degree brackets where I actually put this in there and it holds its shape, and then you can kind of screw it to wherever you want to screw it to like a structure. I use that, and I use foam and stuff, so I kind of have a nice rigid fitting around the perimeter. So with that said, whether it's going to be a little 90, which I'll make a little demonstration right now, or a valve, and again, you see these valves, everything has a barb on it. So when you're thinking about PEX, again, there's a really expensive tool. It's like the latest flavored PEX tool, which looks really fantastic. But for me, I wanted to have something that I could take on the road, and then make a little hand tool you can get at the big box retailers. I wanted to get something in the middle, so I went the middle of the road for the tool and for the applicability, and then for the ability to take it apart. And I thought long and hard about that, like everything else, it seems. So let's do it. So I'm going to take this fitting. What we first need to do is take the crimp, and we slide it on there like that. Then we're going to take the pipe, slide it in there, or do it any side, doesn't matter. I'm going to put this over here like this. And again, this tool, again, it's part of the family of tools I have. It's really easy to use. You're going to press the button once. There's these jaws in here. Do not put your finger in here because you'll be in the hospital. And I'll take in the ambulance. All joking aside, it's really dangerous. So don't put your finger in here or anything you don't want to not be able to take out. So basically you press the button once. It's going to crimp down on this. And then it's going to wait like a few seconds and it's going to release it. And then you're done. So let's check it out. Just put it down here like this just to show you. That's it. You're done. Tight fitting. It ain't moving, ain't going anywhere. Now this application is a little bit different than the shark bite. So you notice this one is super tight. It ain't going anywhere. Like it's locked into place. Again, the only way to take it out, like I showed you in this little clip, is you got to take a screwdriver and you got to undo this little clip here. And you can tell how it's like bent over. These guys are genius, whoever designed this. Hats off to the engineers. But let's look at the shark bite. Now the shark bite's a little different. Again, very, very popular, easy to use. These are more expensive. So that's another thing, right? Consideration. I paid money for the tool, but I kind of like the tool and I like how it bites on. I like how you can remove it. With this guy, again, in tight locations, it's hard to get it off. Like, you can't get this little tongue tool in there. It's not easy. So I thought long and hard about, again, which one to get. Now, if this is maybe actually a physical home, maybe I would just use all shark bites. But again, I think, your situation may vary. So how do these things work? I know it sounds really simple, but it is. So you're going to put it in here, put it under pressure, and that's it, and you're done. Now, if you look at what's inside here, it's really weird. It's kind of like it goes in and it stops. Like you cannot pull this out. So how do you get it out if you need to? So hopefully I'll get this right on the first shot here. But essentially you have this tongue tool and one side's a little bit wider than the other. So let's see, I think it goes this way. So you're basically putting this thing in there and you're like squeezing. So you're essentially squeezing this little, I want to say it's a grommet, it's not the right word. You're pushing that in so this thing can release. So again, let's see if I can do it. So I'm gonna squeeze. There you go. Lucky me. But essentially that's what happens. And if you look in here, again, thank goodness for engineers. So that's how this works. And again, it's easy to take apart, but it all comes down to the location. Like if you're in a tight location, how the hell do you reach this thing? And again, for all the PECs in the ambulance, I use these guys everywhere, right? So that it provides support, yet it can slide for expansion and contraction. You saw them underneath the sink. You saw them out by the shower. I have one on the door that I take on and off. I don't want to bring the indoor shower in. I really like these. They sell these at the blue store, not at the orange store. Why, I don't know. But I like these as well. It's called a silencer, ironically. And that's probably for that reason, too, to allow for... I think when pipes are really stern or they're like really mounted to the wall and water goes through, it makes a sound, makes a vibration to bang. So that's it. It's really simple. Again, hot and cold, 1/2 inch each. I only used 1/2 inch. Again, I only had to go about 20 feet, not even. And to me, it made the most sense. If you have a tiny home that's maybe like a shipping container that's 40 feet long, maybe I'm going to go with 3/4, but just keep in mind, right? So if you go with a wider diameter pipe, it's going to use more water when you turn the valve on, right? So think about that too. So I thought about volume, right? So when you think about pressure and volume, it can easily be overcome by having the 12-volt pump, the accumulator tank, and again, 1/2 inch pipe. So you can get a lot of water, almost like a garden hose. It comes out really fast and firm versus a big pipe that you see like a sewer pipe. It can take a lot more slowly. So my personal recommendation is, again, with the application, I think all you really need is a 1/2 inch PEX pipe, hot and cold, and you're good to go. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions. See you in the next one. Take care.